We're back. It is time for more Manifold Promotional League. This is a round of 16 Group 2 survival match, and this is the real survival match, not like that fake survival match that almost got me fired. Today we're going to find out who is the fourth player to get into the round of 8 and who is going to hang their head in disgrace. I am Brad. With me here as always is Adam. Adam, tell me about this game we're going to watch.
All right, so Nick and Noble here are both quite good Manifold players, and this is going to be a rematch of Placement Match B, in which Nick beat Noble in a very close game, and now both players are hoping that they're going to be coming out ahead. Nick here is playing a DADO-Ramorand deck, which is like a really common, not even common, it's a really easy, like, this guy makes guys, this guy sacrifices guys. Nick, however, is a master of this deck. He has played it forever, and he has a bunch of cool little inclusions here. Like, I would never think to add Blessing of the Cloth to my DADO-Ramorand deck, but he gets great use out of it every time.
Yeah, so a big part of what you're seeing here is your heroes have a lot of output on their own. Dado makes a dude, and then Ramorand eats that dude, and that little combination gets you basically an extra yellow dice every round. And both of them have really aggressive energy abilities that convert your dice into damage one way or another, and Dado's rolling white, which means your heroes very commonly find, what do you say?
I say 7. It's like 5 to 8 or 9 damage, ish.
Which means he gets to radically change his game plan for what cards he's playing, depending on what your opponent is doing this time. Sometimes you get to try to heal forever and outlast aggro. Sometimes you get to spend all your gems trying to attack your opponent's objects. Sometimes you can't do either of those things and you have to be really aggressive. And he gets to pick any of those lines because his heroes aren't demanding any more effort from him.
Yeah, exactly. I love that this is a deck that Brad just like doesn't get because it doesn't feel like it should be doing this much damage. I love seeing Nick play this deck, and I hope you do too. So Noble on the other side is playing a really cool combo deck. EM-Urgent and Lysteria work really well together. EM-Urgent activates your guys when you play attachments on them, and Lysteria readies your guys. So Spiritbinder Mage is the glue that holds these two together. You play Spiritbinder Mage, play a 2Q to die on it, immediately activate it, Lysteria activates and readies it, and you get all those dice again.
Yeah, and Lysteria is probably the highest standard deviation hero that we see play.
Probably, yeah.
Because she rewards you for putting a bunch of investment on your support objects, which of course leaves them susceptible to your opponent's removal.
Yep.
And EM-Urgent goes a long way towards shoring up those weaknesses, making sure you get at least one activation out of them so that if your guy dies, you're not absolutely devastated. But the best Lysteria hands are very, very good, and the worst Lysteria hands are pretty bad.
Pretty bad, yeah, seriously.
And like you said, this was a rematch of Placement Match B, in which Nick came up ahead, which means Nick is hoping that if he just stays the course, he's going to find his way in the round of 8.
Yeah, and I wish best of luck to both these players.
We are down at the table, and it looks like Nick won the die roll, and he's going to start by activating Dado, who is going to roll white, and make a Sentinel.
So Dado here just made 3 damage. I like to joke that Dado always finds either 2 or 3 damage. And it happens pretty frequently. The Sentinel and his energy ability will do just that.
Noble starts by activating EM-Urgent, which is very common play for this deck, because EM-Urgent's trigger, the thing he's doing that's special, happens when you play an attachment, not when you activate him.
Yep.
So you get the luxury of making some dice and basically passing a turn, but also not giving up any tempo.
Yep. And Noble here rolled, modify, and draw 2. Looks like he's going to immediately draw 2. The longer he can go before having to commit gems to the board, the better. Kind of. That could be true for him.
And I mentioned that this DADO-Ramorand deck gets to wear whatever hat it decides it wants to wear, which means there's a very good chance that both players are going to waste as much time as possible because Noble's hoping that Nick spends his gems so Noble can do something with combo potential.
Yeah.
And Nick wants to do just the opposite. And Nick's dice really are going to give him the opportunity to do that.
Well, Noble is... Okay, so Noble is going to play a Spiritbinder Mage, playing a Proselytizer on itself, activating, and then playing a Clothbound Apprentice with the Proselytizer trigger. He's just figuring out his gems right now.
Gadzooks. We said the best Lysteria hands were very good.
This is very good. So this is 3 gems for a guy that rolls purple, purple, black, shielded. This is basically Noble just played a too cute to die on a Spiritbinder Mage.
And it's better than that because Lysteria is going to ready the Spiritbinder Mage and it's going to end up producing another gem later in the round.
Yeah, absolutely is. So, interesting. Noble just picked up his existing purple dice when rolling these ones. And so he's going to fix the game state. He didn't remember what that purple dice was. And so he's going to fix the game state by just making a blank purple dice in place of whatever it was before. You scroll back in the video and you'll see what he lost. I don't remember what it was either.
Yeah, that's the tournament rule is if you're ever fiddling with your dice and we don't know what your dice were because you messed up your modifier and you're trying to rewind, your opponent gets to choose what symbol.
Which is usually blank. So Nick is going to crackle Noble's proselytizer so that it won't actually get to activate again, and Noble will just Lysteria ready the cloth or the Spiritbinder Mage for a sad measly single black dice instead of black purple. Black purple.
Which is a really excellent heads up way for Nick to see us out, because killing the Spiritbinder Mage who's already shielded is going to be tough, right? It's going to be Excommunicatus plus Crackle, or like there are strike downs in there, but just killing the Proselytizer took a lot of wind out of Noble's sails.
Exactly. Noble still has rolled 6 damage and 2 modify by now. So he's still doing pretty good. And Nick on the other side will have 8 damage showing. This game is... these players are going to be fighting very hard. Okay, Protection of Belief here is very strong by Noble. He's going to sabotage 4 damage that Nick had and cut Nick's damage in half.
And then Noble's going to be looking at firing 8-ish damage back at Nick, assuming he just resolves things the face-up way.
Yep. Noble's going to resolve Shield after Nick deals 2 damage, and Nick will roll a draw. Okay, sure.
Nick has 1 blue gem available, and he has quite a few 1-cost blue cards. He could play a Protection of Belief, he could play a Clothbound Apprentice.
But he has Augur's Auspice in his deck, I think.
But any of those plays right now have a pretty decent chance of costing him the dig in. Although I guess the Clothbound Apprentice, you get that tempo back immediately.
Yep. Noble is going to modify into draw 1 because he sees that he's not going to get the dig in and the damage might not matter. So Noble will resolve draw 1. Nick will take off Lysteria's shield with Dado's energy ability.
And now Noble's deciding, do I ping and then ping, or do I just deal damage to Dado? And he opts for the third path.
Noble will dig in on Lysteria. Okay, each player has dealt 3 damage. And both players have added a black dice and a Clothbound Apprentice to the board.
Yeah.
Even game.
Yes. That is
straight up even.
That is very fair. And the kind of crazy thing is Noble played some of his most elite rares.
Yeah.
He played a Spiritbinder Mage and a Protection of Belief.
Yep.
And Nick cobbled together a way to make that an even trade.
Yeah, Crackle, Radar, Servo, Clothbound Apprentice.
Yeah,
That's
which
5
means,
gems.
Nick still has all his Protection of Beliefs.
Sure. Yeah. And usually that doesn't get counted that much as that relevant. But you're right that Noble using a Spiritbinder Mage and Protection of Belief and Proselytizer is a lot more valuable to his deck.
Yeah, more than Nick still has the Protection of Beliefs. It's Nick managed to survive a round that was potentially very scary.
And Nick is going to play a Black Altar, and Noble will immediately respond with a Proselytizer and a Spiritbinder Aspirant.
Okay, so we're in Battlecruiser Manifold.
Yep. I believe that Noble has nothing that can answer this Black Altar.
Oh, like in his whole deck?
In his whole deck. Blue and yellow are very bad at answering a Black Altar.
It would be like an Infiltrator, a Daring Saboteur, and those are not in this deck.
No, they are not. So, Nick is going to get this Black Altar gigantic pile of dice every round. Noble is going to respond by playing his really swingy Spiritbinder Aspirant, but this round it won't do anything fancy.
Yeah, the Aspirant requires more gem investment because it readies when you play an attachment on it.
Yep.
And it's especially powerful with EM-Urgent, because with EM-Urgent, you get to stack your triggers so that you make your dice off of your new attachment and then ready the object.
Yep. And I'm hoping we get to see that come up. For now, Noble's just going to have Protection of Belief, Proselytizer on Spiritbinder Mage get activated, and then readied with Lysteria, and now he'll get to roll those dice again.
And that's a little bit more dice output than the Black Altar.
It is.
But it is increased fragility. Like, it'll go way down in value once the Lysteria dies, and it's a thing that can get struck down, or, as we saw, crackled or sever the ties on the Proselytizer.
Noble is going to activate the Spiritbinder Mage, playing a Clothbound Apprentice, shielding the Spiritbinder Aspirant. Awesome. I'm excited for a Spiritbinder Aspirant game. We haven't had one of those in a while.
Yeah, so Noble has done multiple instances of, here's my support guy, he's going to be really hard for you to deal with. And so far, Nick's solution has mostly been, all right, I'm going to deal with his attachments, or I'm going to deal with you.
Yes. So Nick is going to go down the line this last couple activations, making his Sentinel, activating, and now sacrificing it with Ramorand. And so these plus the radar servo dice he hasn't made yet are going to be his damage output this round. He looks like he can do 13 damage. Probably.
You would have to reroll quite a bit, and this Dado Ramorand deck actually does not draw cards very well. And so you have to be pretty careful about how you choose to tactical reroll. Having said that, there's this blank green dice. There's a very high chance you want to reroll this green dice. So you're going to take at least one shot at that purple and white dice at the same time.
Yeah.
Maybe not the white dice, actually, because you have the energy.
I mean, I'd be re-rolling purple, purple, green. But anyway.
But that purple is showing 2 damage.
I'm talking about Nick's side, not Noble's.
Yeah, that energy ability for Nick is 2 damage.
I mean, that's 1 damage.
They're both 1 damage. Sure.
Okay. You're probably right. Either way, Noble here has made all of his dice, except unless he wants to crack the Clothbound Apprentices. And it looks like Nick is going to re-roll green, red, purple into 1 modify and a rend and a blank, so not great. Yeah, okay. Lysteria is probably not going down right now. Noble
Nick is showing
rend
rend 3.
Okay. That's probably relevant. Noble's going to re-roll into a similar amount of nothing.
Okay, so it seems highly probable that neither player is going to lose a hero this round.
Yeah.
But both players are going to get pretty close, right? We're probably going to see 7 or 8 damage on both sides. Well,
right.
We might only see 4 damage from Noble.
If everyone just keeps resolving nothing. Okay, so it looks like Noble is going to modify 1 into modify 2. And Nick will similarly modify 1 into modify 2.
Okay.
Great, they've decided we're done tactical rerolling. We need to actually just make these dice into damage.
And so Nick did actually re-roll out of that rend 1 on that green dice.
Yeah. And Nick's going to modify 2 here. I bet you he modifies that yellow dice. Yeah.
Into damage?
Yeah, we're not rending at all. We're just going face.
Neat. Perfectly viable.
And look at this. Noble has 10 damage, but it's all in 2s, and Nick has a shield on Ramorand and a shield in his dice pool, which means Noble's going to switch to going after Dado. Very interesting. Noble and Nick did have a Clothbound Apprentice to shield Dado. So all of Noble's 2 damage sides are really working against him here.
Yeah, and that's a surprise because he has plenty of boon dice. I guess he rolled 4 boon dice this round.
Yeah.
But they were resolved as modifies or what have you.
Yeah. And Nick has a couple 1 damages here. So Nick is going to be able to take the dice off. Noble will dig in. Nick will take it off and then resolve a bunch of damage. So Lysteria is at 4 health going into the into round, 3 here?
Going into 3.
And both the Nick's heroes have only taken a couple damage.
So it's 12 damage dealt to 9 damage dealt,
yes.
Which is, still, that's clearly advantage Nick. But it looks like much more advantage Nick because the odds are Lysteria dies this round and Nick probably goes the next round with both his heroes.
Yeah, the break point of when does your hero go away is really, really important, especially in decks that are really built around their heroes, which both these decks are.
Except, I just said a bunch of things to make it sound like Nick is in a commanding position. Noble has this Spiritbinder Mage and this Spiritbinder Aspirant ripping and ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
There's a tremendous amount of potential.
So Noble's going to start his round by activating Spiritbinder Mage with a Proselytizer on it. That Proselytizer trigger is going to play a Spiritbinder Mage, playing a Blessing of the Cloth on itself, using EM-Urgent's trigger to immediately activate it. That is so many dice for 1 gem spent.
2 gems spent. Oh, no. Proselytizer.
1 gem spent.
Criminy.
Yeah. Noble just made 6 dice with 2-drop and some other, and 1 gem.
Yeah, and then
If you squint.
he's going to make another gem off of activating the proselytizer a second time.
Yep, because Lysteria is going to ready that one.
Noble could roll somewhere in the ballpark of 22 dice this round.
Unbelievable. Nick is going to play Revenant on the other side of the table, which is going to be damage, and it'll probably get Lysteria killed if he sacrifices it with a Black Altar or something like that. But Noble is making so many dice. Noble is going to activate this Spiritbinder Mage, rolling 2 damage and playing an Energy Retracer.
Man.
Wow.
You should not be allowed to play all these cards in the same deck.
No. Or in the same round with 4 gems spent.
And then he puts a red counter on the Spiritbinder Aspirant.
Yep. Readying Proselytizer is unbelievable. Okay. So, Nick's got Black Altar here. It looks like he's going to use... Okay, he's going to activate Dado. No, he's going to activate Black Altar. One of those. He'll activate Black Altar, sacrificing the Revenant, shooting Lysteria for 3, and rolling red, red, green, green. Absolutely reasonable.
And there is a little bit of upside to killing Lysteria quickly because you might want to eliminate her before Noble gets to use her energy.
Yeah.
Which doesn't look like how this round is going necessarily, but there is upside to that potentially, and I think Nick is going to try and realize that.
Yeah, because EM-Urgent's energy doesn't affect the board in the way that Lysteria's does. And Nick has 1 damage here on green dice. He can just do that right now. Looks like he's going to activate Dado, making energy, and making a Sentinel. Like I said, 3 damage every time.
Yeah, it is. Yep, just what you said.
It was 2 damage last time, but you know.
And so Nick is actually going to use the Sentinel activation
probably
to kill Lysteria in order to try and make all of his damage resolution.
Lysteria is shielded. I actually didn't notice that earlier.
Oh, yeah.
So the Sentinel and the 1 green dice is going to take care of Lysteria, probably.
I was wondering why Nick was taking another action. It appears Noble resolved a shield.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess we'll see in a sec. Yeah. We're going to take off that shield.
So the reason Nick might be resolving that mental damage rather than activating the Sentinel is he might see value in trying to get out of mental damage as quickly as possible so that you're not victim to Protection of Belief.
Yeah, that might be true. Although Noble would have done that by now. Nick's got 4 damage. Noble has blue gems. I don't know.
Yeah, but perhaps Noble draws cards over the course of this round.
Sure.
And that's one of the things that's so cool about Manifold is how what options are available to each player is always so dynamic.
Yeah, it changes throughout the round based on what you draw. And you draw enough cards that's actually, a real thing that happens. So Nick will take care of Lysteria, and Noble will assemble like 10 damage on the other side, and Nick will play a Battle Ready on Ramorand.
And this is one of those cards that Baby's first Dado-Ramorand doesn't play.
Ever, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But Nick knows that this is an effect that he has wanted in the past, and it's worked for him.
Yeah, he's figured out exactly how many gems he wants to spend when. That's why there's like 2 Blessing, 2 Battle Ready, is to fit it into various spots in the curve.
Yeah. And I'm very content to just watch Nick cook on this deck. Like, I don't understand how he came to his exact numbers of the different cards in his deck, but he keeps winning with it.
Yeah, so. You know me, I think I'm smarter than everyone else. Yeah. But if I had to play Dado-Ramorand in a tournament, I would just take his deck list and go.
Yeah. I agree. You get some practice in on it first, though.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because it'll be different than what you might expect. Noble won't end up playing any attachments on the Spiritbinder Aspirant this round. It still rolls red-white, that's fine, but it's not the crazy nonsense that it could be.
And that's really interesting because not only is that making the Spiritbinder Aspirant mediocre this round, it really means it was mediocre last round too.
I agree.
Because he spent all those gems hoping for a big explosion now.
He got a different big explosion now. It wasn't that big explosion.
Yeah, but
he's still probably pretty happy.
But if you think about what would have happened if he just played the Blessing on the Aspirant instead of the Spiritbinder Mage, it's possible that's a more powerful round. But it's also a much more dangerous round.
Yes, I agree. So Nick will activate this Ramorand, probably sacrificing the what is he sacrificing? Did he sacrifice the Sentinel already? I wasn't paying attention.
No, he's doing it. That's where this orange came from, or yellow came from.
Yeah. Okay. So, Now Nick has very close to all of his dice. That doesn't look like 16 damage for EM-Urgent.
Oh man, if he killed EM-Urgent this round,
Yeah. That'd be insane. I don't think we're there. Noble on the other hand.
But both players could.
Yeah.
Win the game this round.
Noble's
There's 15 dice in Noble's pool.
And a good chunk of them are showing damage.
Yeah, and there's modify 4, which is 8 more damage.
And 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, Noble could actually do 23 damage this round.
Yeah, and
Crazy.
Nick could do 16.
Yes, he could. Noble's going to tactical reroll all these blank dice into a bunch of blanks.
In fact, Nick is currently showing 13 damage.
Right. Absolutely wild. Noble will keep tactical rerolling. He's got to make these dice show something. And 1 damage, 1 draw, 1 rend, that's not it. I mean, at a certain point, Noble just resolves his modify 3 and then starts resolving damage, right? But,
yeah, and there's actually a modify 4 if you're willing to resolve a purple modify 1.
Yeah.
Which was what I was counting on before, but it looks like he's now doing a little better than that.
Yeah, because he turned that red dice into 1 damage.
But he does really want 1 more dice face that he's happy to resolve.
Yeah, if he rerolls these 3 dice and gets like 4 damage out of it or whatever, he's very happy. Let's see. Noble gets
another modify 2.
Okay,
and
that's
a 2 mental.
That's quite good. Okay.
So that was probably 4 more damage off that roll.
Yeah. So Noble will end up cobbling together a good chunk of damage. He's definitely taking out one of these heroes. The question is which one? And the question is, not the question is, he's not going to do this before Nick digs in.
Yeah, Nick needs to go first because we're going to end up in a world where both players have like 4 or less health.
Yes.
I think it's obvious that Noble needs to kill Ramorand.
Yeah, I agree.
Because Ramorand will roll 6 dice and modify 2 in 1 activation.
I agree. Yeah, that battle ready is a huge point in. Wow, look at all that damage.
Jeez.
Okay. So Nick will deal 8 damage to Noble's EM-Urgent, and then he has 6 damage on the other side.
And if he has time to activate this radar servo and this clothbound apprentice,
he could get 2 more damage.
He could find lethal.
But I think the dig-in shield is going to be relevant for him.
And I think the first activation in the round where we're in this dead sprint.
Yes, agreed.
Ooh.
Oh, radar servo rolled another 1 damage. That's 7.
Well, now you gotta greed out, right?
I think you're just dealing 7 and digging in.
But you have 3 more turns.
Okay.
You have 2 more turns.
Yeah.
You have 2 more turns, though. That's enough for a 16%er to just win the game.
Okay. So Noble will resolve a chunk of all his physical damage, putting Ramorand to 7. Nick is going to...
He's trying to decide, because you could also tactical reroll that red dice.
Yes.
But that one has a chance of going real bad.
Exactly. Okay, energy here is nothing.
It is nothing.
Okay, if that was a damage, that would have been huge, but Nick's got 7 damage. And now he could, tactical reroll the white dice and the red dice or something? If that's not worth it.
I think he only has 1 card in his hand.
Sure.
But it kind of doesn't matter. You're putting your opponent to
cool.
1.
Noble has a crackle here to deal 3 damage to Ramorand. The important thing here is that crackle doesn't hit Dado.
Oh, yeah. So you've got to use it this round because it does
right
nothing
now.
next round.
Yep. Nick will put EM-Urgent to 1 health. Noble will take care of Ramorand.
So if you're Noble, you're hoping Nick tactical rerolls here.
Nick digs in.
Which means that card is actually, tempo useful.
There we go. Nick dug in. Noble took off the shield and put Dado down to 2 health.
Neither player loses to Crackle.
Yup. That's actually really important. And we're going into what's got to be the final round here. Dado will be activated. He'll put a bunch of damage in.
He puts lethal in 2 ways.
Can Noble shield?
And it has to be a shield. Sabotage doesn't do it. Kill the Sentinel doesn't do it because the other option is available.
Yep. Noble's going to put 4 gems into a proselytizer on a Spearbinder aspirant.
Okay.
Purple, purple, white, red. Is he going to play a Clothbound Apprentice off of this? So Proselytizer Trigger will play a Spearbinder Mage. Playing an Heirloom Satyr, which doesn't shield, and Nobles will lose and be knocked out of the MPL.
Whoo! A Titan falls. Nick beat Noble twice this round.
Well, twice this. Yeah.
Yeah, twice in the round of 16.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Good job, Nick. Don't know how you did it. I don't understand what happened. I don't know how you didn't take 12 damage in round 1. But you just found a way, and you punched your ticket to the round of 8.
Yeah, congratulations, Nick. Thank you for playing Noble.
Now we don't have to fly Noble back up.
Yeah, and now Noble gets to move to California, no strings attached. All right, there we go. That's the end of Group 2 of our round of 16. The next videos are going to be the start of Group 3.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
This was a fun one. Oh, man. I'm so glad you guys could share that with us. We got plenty more coming.
Yeah, the good stuff is just going to keep coming. Thanks for watching. We will see you in the next one.